Welcome to the May 23rd. Good evening and welcome to the May 23rd, 2024 regular meeting of the San Diego Community Power Board of Directors. I am Joel Agava, Chair of the Board and the representative for the City of San Diego. We welcome the members of the public, community power staff, and board members joining us in person today. I will now call the May 23rd regular meeting of the Board of Directors of San Diego Community Power to order. Megan, would you please call the roll?
Director Yamani?
Here.
Director Parent?
Here.
Director Aguirre? Here. Director Hinsey? Here. Director McCann?
Present.
Vice Chair Lawson Reamer? Chair LaCava?
Present.
We have a quorum.
All right, please stand if you're able and face the flag. The Pledge of Allegiance, hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We said a quorum is present. Next up on the agenda is special presentations and introductions. I'll start out with a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that this meeting is taking place on the land of the original inhabitants of the greater San Diego region. The land acknowledgement is a critical step towards working with Native communities, create meaningful partnerships and inclusion in the stewardship and protection of their cultural resources and homelands. Let us take a moment to honor these ancestral grounds that were the traditional lands of Kumai. So next up, we have a special presentation to an outgoing member of our Community Advisory Committee. I believe Anna Webb is remote. There she is.
I am here. Yes, I
And
am.
the honor of
Thank you so much. Oh,
go ahead, Anna.
I'm sorry. I'm at my brother's house. Yeah. Thank you for inviting me and thank you for this proclamation this evening.
Well, we certainly want to acknowledge that you served as the first Community Advisory Committee member representing the city of Imperial Beach since April 2020, shaping how the Community Power Board of Directors has received ongoing citizen support and engagement from the very beginning. Certainly give you the entire proclamation when it's convenient for you to read through, but let me close by saying, be it resolved by the Board of Directors of San Diego Community Power that it hereby commends and honors Anna Webb for her accomplishment and extends its gratitude for her service. Mayor Aguirre, you want to add any words?
Sure, thank you so much, Chair. Hi, Anna. I just want to mention that we are so grateful for your service to this board, your expertise is unparalleled. Your service to the community of Imperial Beach was also so important to our residents and to our neighbors. And you will be sorely missed, but I'm glad that we have technology where we could still stay in touch. Congratulations.
I want to thank you. Thank you so much, Mayor Gary. And all of you. I know many of you and I appreciate you. And I have served on this Community Advisory Committee for 4 years. It's the most amazing startup I've ever participated in. I've participated in many. And I appreciate where you started from, where you're going and everything you've done to give all the communities renewable energy service. I mean, this is just amazing. And thank you again. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Anna. We'll certainly miss you and your work on the advisory committee.
I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Moving along, are there any items to be added, withdrawn, excuse me, or reordered on the agenda?
There are not.
There are not. So next we'll go to non-agenda public comment. Want to note that written public comments submitted before the board meeting were emailed to all directors prior to the board meeting and will be posted on the website at the beginning of the meeting. Megan, do we have any non-agenda public comment?
We do not.
So moving right along, we'll go on to the consent calendar. It includes both the April 25th meeting minutes, the standard receive and file updates from the various departments of community power. Do I have any questions or comments, or do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Motion to approve the consent calendar, so moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Mary Gary reach out there. So with that, do we have any public comment? I got that in the wrong order. My apologies.
We do not.
All right. So with that, let's see, everybody's here. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Seeing none, that passes unanimously. Next, we'll move to item 10, which is consideration and approval of Community Advisory Committee appointment for the city of Imperial Beach. And I'll turn it over to Jack Clark for this item.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Board. Good evening, members of San Diego Community Power and our public. Item 10 is a consideration and approval of Community Advisory Committee appointment for the city of Imperial Beach. As noted earlier with Anna Webb's departure from the CAC, a vacancy for the city of Imperial Beach has opened in March of 2024. Per our Joint Powers Authority Agreement, CAC members play a key role in advising the Board of Directors and providing a venue for ongoing citizen support, engagement in the strategic direction, goals, and programs of San Diego Community Power. And directors may nominate and approve committee members who should represent a diverse cross-section of interests, skill sets, and geographic regions. Staff broadly promoted the vacancy and worked with Mayor Gire and her staff to advance for your consideration today the appointment of Kenneth Hoyt. Kenneth has been a general practitioner of law since January of 1990. He has also been a leader in the field of education and other positions that have allowed him to serve and help others. He lives in Imperial Beach and is committed to the improvement of his community. As a reminder as well, we still have some remaining vacancies on the CAC for the unincorporated county of San Diego, city of Chula Vista, and the city of San Diego. And Kenneth is here with us today and prepared to say a few words, either now or during public comment.
Actually, I invite you, Mr. Wright, to say a few words. I guess over here is where we have a mic.
First and foremost, thank you, Mayor Gary, for confidence that I might be able to add something to the advisory committee. Sounds like from Anna, I have a big shoes to fill, and I will try to do that. I have a lot to learn. I'm a good learner, but in this area, that's as I guess you know better than I do, relatively new in endeavor, and I'm learning that only as one of the many ratepayers who looks at my bill and sees the difference in that's going on. And I'm very pleased. As I said, I lot to learn, but I do have, I think, a well of experience that I would like to share when I have an opportunity. So thank you very much for all of you and your confidence that I can do something.
All right. Yeah, I'll turn it over to Mary Gary for any comments and perhaps a motion.
Yes, thank you. At first, I just want to thank staff for working swiftly to fill the vacancy. Mr. Hoyt, thank you for your interest and your commitment to serve on the CAC. You do have a wealth of knowledge and experience that I think will be very valuable to it. And I look forward to working with you in this new capacity.
Excellent. Thank you.
And with that, I make the motion to approve.
Second that, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so we do have a motion by Mary Gary, a second by Councilmember Yamani. Megan, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that passes unanimously as well. So moving right along, to item 11, which is a
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Welcome aboard.
Yes.
Thank you.
public comment. I assume there was no public comment.
No public comment.
I'm gonna circle it. With that, we'll go to item 11, which is a receive and file update on IT and data analytics. And I'll turn that over to Karen Singh, Director of Data Analytics and IT, present this item.
Chair and of the board members. My name is Kiran Singh and I am the Director of Data Analytics and IT at SDCP.
Can you move that mic a little closer? And is a light, green light on?
It is. on.
Okay,
I think I need to be a little bit louder.
yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Appreciate the opportunity. This is my first update on the IT and the data analytics. I'm really very excited to present to you initial work that I have done so far, along with my team here at SDCP. In the presentation, I have 4 different categories here. Executive summary, and then I will review the discovery process that we conducted as I came on board. And then what are the findings and assessment from that, and then the opportunities. Next slide, please. So as I conducted this assessment of the current state, my thought process was, how do we make sure that we are building an ecosystem which is robust, which can help us deliver on our clean energy goals, and at the same time at a cost-effective manner. So that is the entire gist of this whole presentation, is how do we make sure we are effective, efficient, and productive so that we can serve our communities well. Next slide, please. And I could not have done this without the help of our team. There are a lot of pictures which are not here, but I would tell you that there were each and everybody behind me who were helping me not only conduct the assessment, but also learn about our communities, our work, and our goals, our key values. So I appreciate everyone's contribution, and I wanted to thank you them. Next slide, please. All right, so the discovery process. So the way I started this was, I divided my work into 3 pieces. First step was discovery, learning about where we are today. And then from that, where we can go, what is our future state, from current to future. And then what do we need to do in between? So that was the whole process that I put together as I started my assessment. Next slide, please. So this is a roadmap I built, I think, first week I came in. I was like, okay, I have to do this in less than 90 days, given that we had holidays and all the other stuff, and I was still in Florida. So we were able to complete the assessment in 90 days with the help from my colleagues. And I think this roadmap was very crucial for me because as I started to learn about the current state, I wanted to leverage my experience from the industry, especially energy, renewable side, to provide a vision for the future, especially when it comes to technology. How do we make sure that we have a strong technology ecosystem where we can really do a lot of innovation and transform the way the work we do today. Next slide, please. Assessment. So the first step in my journey in this assessment was to really see what are the systems we need today and for future, because we are growing very fast. I think when I came here, I used the word startup, and I think I heard this word before, but I think we have been an emerging business or agency for last couple of years. And we are in a place where we will see more growth and a lot of competition also. I think as you grow, you will see that we have to have some strong application systems that we can rely upon and do our work. Part of the findings were where we are in terms of our enrollment, how many initiatives we are doing, how many programs we have, how many calls we get from our customers. So this is where we are today, I think, and this was as of December last year. I'm sure we have grown even more, but this is where this was from the last December. Very exciting. I think we have a very strong team at SDCP. Next slide, please. So part of the assessment was SWOT analysis. So with this analysis, it gave me a sense of what are the pain points, what are the things that are impacting our strategic value, at a broader level and also at a tactical level, so to speak, right? So what are those things that we have to do internally to be more efficient, to be more effective, and also how we can go in the marketplace and be more strong. Next slide, please. So opportunities. So this, I think this is the slide which is very near and dear to me, because I think this is where we start building our future. This is the vision. So there are 4 categories here. The business transformation, using digital and data transformation. This is very important too. We want to avoid doing manual touches, automation, use technology to do our work so that we are more productive, effective, and minimize the errors. And then the business optimization. During my findings, I saw that we rely upon external vendors a lot. So how do we make sure that we are right in this season? So what are the things that we can bring in-house so that we can reduce our spend and be more effective, have more control on our core operations? Third thing was, as we grow, we want to make sure that we have the right teams. Can you please go to the previous slide? The right teams, organizational structures, very important. I think as we grow, we want to make sure that we are looking into the industry standards or the utility standards. So we need to have structures to adopt those. And then the simplification. So again, with the growth comes the complexity. How do we make sure that we have a right governance so that we can we simplify our work and we still be effective? So those are the 4 things that I kind of came up with where we have the opportunities. So I say that these are the themes that I want to use to build a future vision. Next slide, please. So I will take each one of those categories and very quickly give you what is the work that we are doing. A lot of the work that I talk about this in this deck, we have already started working on it, and we have seen a lot of value, a lot of efficiencies already in the space. So business transformation underpinned by the digital and data transformation. So again, 3 categories. We need to insource our IT so that we have better control on our systems. Who's touching our system? How we are using those, all those things. We are tracking everything today through our digital systems. Then the applications, the customer relationship management, or the energy trade and risk management. Those are core systems. Can we really bring those in-house? And then what do we need to make sure that they run efficiently? And then the last but not the least, data. Currently, we rely upon a lot of data vendors. So our goal is to start bringing, wherever it makes sense, to bring that in-house so that we have better control on our data, and we can leverage that data for our support. Next slide, please. So what does it mean? What's the impact? The impact is increased efficiency, greater operational agility, and ultimately we want to unlock value for our staff, for our customers, and all the constituents that we have. I think that's the most important. All this work we are doing, there is a value there with this. The second part, business optimization by right sourcing, aligning with in-sourcing of core business operations. So there are a lot of things that we do. We don't have to bring everything in-house. We have to be very strategic. What are the things that we want to bring in? Things which are core to us, which are very important to us, critical to our operations. So that's what my recommendation or my analysis here was. Next slide. So the value. So once we have these core business systems in-house, we will be able to deliver better insight from those systems. We will have a better control, better, faster response time. I think that's another thing. When you rely upon vendors, you have to go through this access channel. You're talking, there's communication. If you have those systems in-house, you have better control, you can respond to things faster and better. And then the third part was organizational structure. So again, emerging operation business. As we grow, we will see more work, of course, but we want to make sure that we have a better visibility of who's doing what. When we were small, one person was able to do everything. But as we grow, we bring more people in order to deliver those. We have to make sure that we have the right organizational structures in place so that we are effective and people have visibility, right? I think this will help in long run. You will see the employee morale, retention, having those clear goals will help us and more collaboration. I think that's another very key value that we want to deliver. Having these clear goals will help us communicate better and collaborate. I already talked about this. The impact is a clear visibility, efficient work allocation. We are implementing work tools so that we know what's going on and how to respond to priorities. Simplification. So as we start to work on these new initiatives or existing, we want to make sure we have standard procedures, processes, so that we can improve upon those. The first step in innovation and transformation is to having a base. So these are the things we are working on. We already have a lot of processes in place. And over the period of time, these will help us innovate, do things in a different way, which will be more effective, which will be more cost effective. And of course, I think we want to be efficient and simple. Next slide, please. So this is a roadmap we put together for 2 years. So a lot of IT, a lot of data, a lot of modernization of the tools that we are planning to bring. This is all to make sure that we can focus on our goals, our key values, our staff, and our constituents. So it's a busy map, but I think we are marching towards accomplishing all these goals in the next 2 years. So future to state vision. So when I joined my first day, I talked about building a world-class IT and data organization. That vision still stands today, and we are marching towards that. That is still the vision, and we are going to accomplish that. And what will it, how this will impact us, our community, our key values. So we will generate local jobs, right? We will be able to focus on our customer, the value we want to give to our customers. Our clean energy goals, 100% clean energy on or before 2035. That is our goal. And then staff retention and productivity. People coming into office, they should be happy to come in and they feel that they have everything they need to do their jobs. And then finally, focus on sustainability, effective management of external complexities, because I think that's where we have to make sure that we are ready to, with a response effectively for our external complexities. I'll take a pause here and see what questions you have. I think this is my last year. I went very fast, so please.
I covered a lot of ground. Thank you for the presentation. Do we have any public comment?
We do not.
All right. This is a receiving file, so we don't need a motion. So I'll turn over to the board members. Any questions or comments? Mayor McCann.
I just wanted to thank you very much. Being in the business industry for a long, long time, you really, I think, have been able to mesh both the private sector and the public sector, and making sure, as you said, that we're focusing on our core values of serving the customer and making sure that we're looking at our energy goals. So I'm just very impressed by your presentation. And I give you high marks for that, and really looking forward to having you do great things here. Thank you.
Mayor Aguirre.
Thank you. I agree. Great first presentation. Hopefully it's the first of many. I wanted to ask just more generally, as far as your expansion projections, are those within our projected number of staff that we've been talking about, or would it supersede that in the future?
No, we are planning to control that. And so the goal here is to leverage automation and technology, not by adding the man-hour or
Like,
headcounts.
not FTE, but rather the services.
Yeah, I think that's the goal here is to, I think in the private sector, especially in my career, we have seen we can do more with the automation, automation of processes, business processes. I think the front loading is making sure that we have those, even if it is manual step, we figure those out, have a better understanding, and then automate. And we have tools today available, many are open source, which we can leverage without much cost. With the minimum cost, we can leverage those and do automation, but we are we're very much close to what other CCAs are looking at in terms of IT organization. And my goal is to even go smaller and do more automation so that we can be more cost effective.
That is wonderful, and I really liked, in one of your slides, you have the vendor oversight and audit, keeping a close eye on that as well, I think is really great. Thank you.
I think there will be always some presence of external partners. We can't do everything at home, but having that oversight and making sure that the right partner for the right work would be the best.
Well, not seeing any other comments by my colleagues. Thank you for this. It is continually amazement of the talent we're able to attract to Community Power. It says a lot about the organization, and as you mentioned, we're no longer a startup, an emerging business. And I appreciate that perspective. I think you touched on a little bit about cybersecurity and how that works into where, obviously I don't want you to talk about what we do and how we do it, but in terms of where we're at, what you see that as part of the evolution of your work.
This is the first and foremost, the cybersecurity. One of the things that we did early on as I came on board, making sure that we know who's using our network, which every single laptop or phone or anything, or the emails coming to us, how are they coming in? Are these valid? So we have been really coaching our staff also on that, on identifying spams or the scam of phishing efforts. So we have been doing this monthly awareness with our staff also. And we also know which laptop is connecting to our network. So we are tracking our hardware also. So I think we will continue to do more and more. I think as we prepare, I think the other side also is prepared.
Yes.
I think we have to really compete or be in front of them.
Okay, well, thank you very much again. Thank you for the presentation. As Mary Gary said, as you get further into this and start making critical decisions, we'll look forward to more presentations. Thank you for this one.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this is a receive and file. Unless there's no objection, we will simply do that and move on to item 12, which is a presentation of the draft FY 24-25 budget. And I will not turn it over to Dr. Eric Washington. But instead, Pam, we'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, John LaCava. Hi, Joe LaCava, Board of Directors. My name is Timothy Mangelman. I'm a Senior Finance Manager at Sunny Community. And I'll be sitting tonight for Dr. Eric Washington, who couldn't make it tonight. And that said, I'm here to deliver the budget presentation for fiscal year 24-25, which is receiving file for tonight. I guess before I even get started here, I do want to give a big shout out to the finance team who put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this budget and put a lot of work into this. So in terms of budget highlight, what can you guys expect for this fiscal year? I think the first thing, kind of what was touched on earlier, is this budget does grow the staff from 56 up to 80. So that's 24 new positions. 14 of those positions were previously approved in last year's budget. And then 10 of those positions are new positions. In terms of other highlights for this year, we do want to continue the same level of outreach and sponsorship that we did in prior years. And we did really close to like our professional services and contracts, just to make sure we can look at in-housing certain functions when we can, but then also looking to make sure that we're maximizing our dollar when we can also. Next slide. Back in July of 2022, the board did adopt a budget policy that set a timeline for the budget adoption. This kind of summarizes that chronological order, and we are currently at the informational item for the board in May as part of that budget policy. Next slide. Internally, the finance team also does have principles that we adhere to. A couple of those principles include making sure that the budget is in alignment with best practices, kind of similar to last year, in which we got our first budget award, from the Government Finance Officers Association. We also strive to make sure that the budget is responsible and sustainable for the agency. Next slide. So kind of getting to the nitty-gritty here, kind of the slide that you guys see in every budget presentation, with the figures. So in terms of net revenue for this fiscal year, the board adopted rates back in January of 2024. And so that net revenue takes into account the rates that were adopted back in January. It also includes a 4.5% uncollectible rate, which is in alignment with what we saw during the budget amendment back in February of 2024. In terms of the cost of energy, it still continues to be our highest cost center by far. It comprises 95% of our expenditures, and is close alignment with what we see from other CCAs and just other energy utilities. Non-energy costs have increased from 43 million up to about 54 million. And the bulk of that has to do with the hiring that we mentioned earlier. But then a smaller portion of that has to do with general administration costs kind of increasing in lockstep as we hire more staff. We need more computers and stuff like that. All that's to say, this budget does lead to about a $42.8 million net income projection in the fiscal year, which would mean that we would build reserves up to about $462 million. And just for the board identification, that's about equivalent to about 155 or 152 days cash on hand, which gets us much closer to the goal of achieving 180 days cash on hand, which is our strategic plan, but not quite there, but on the way there. So this budget also includes a capital investment plan similar to last year, similar to the CAPs that you have in your member jurisdictions. It includes about a $10.3 million contribution from our operating budget into the CIP for this year. And then some of the key projects in our CIP are projects that the board has seen before. So the solar battery savings program, which my colleague Tim Treadwell has presented in the past, is included in this year's budget. And then also the regional energy network is another key project that we're delivering in the CIP. Next slide. Okay. Was it frozen? The budget presentation also has a lot of pictures, which I think makes the slide really slow.
Yeah, what community is this photo? Do you know?
I think it's La Mesa, but I could be wrong.
Oh, it does look like this.
Yeah, it does look like a
Can you confirm?
It's Mesa adjacent anyway.
Not me, Bill.
Who built this?
So as this slide is loading, I could just talk about what the next slide is. The next slide in a second will show just our historical reserve build over time. We actually have done a pretty good job in terms of building our reserve as compared to other CCAs. This current fiscal year looks to add over $200 million, and then after you add in projected budget that we're proposing for the board, that would get us at about $462 million, which again doesn't quite hit our 180-day target. Our 180-day target, just based on the current expenditure projection for the fiscal year, is around $576 million. But again, it gets us close, and I think we've had a much faster reserve build than our colleagues. So I think the board has done a pretty good job of making some pretty decisions to kind of build reserves, especially in this last fiscal year. Okay, it looks like I'm about to freestyle this list. So then I'm just gonna talk off of memory for the slides. There is a slide that also shows in detail kind of changes by category. So the SDCP budget also categorizes our budget into different budget levels. So with professional services, with personnel, and then there's general administration costs. Kind of what I mentioned earlier, so professional services has increased slightly. We do have a big contract that kind of takes up about 1/4 of our entire professional services budget. And that's with Calpine Services, who manages our data management. This fiscal year is the first full fiscal year where we have full enrollment. Last fiscal year, we were still enrolling some MEM customers, and it was kind of the tail end of the last phase of enrollment. So this fiscal year really is the first full fiscal year where we're seeing all customers enrolled in SDCP. And so with that, we've seen our Calpine contract increase, which again is our largest professional services contract, which accounts for that line item. I mentioned also, personnel also increased from 56 employees up to 80. If knock on wood, we could actually hire all those staff during this fiscal year, which I think we have some of the same probably issues that you guys have with hiring, just getting quality talent. But if we do, oh, there you go. So that was the slide I mentioned with reserves and just kind of building our reserves faster than I think any other CCA has in the four-year time span. Sandra, can you go to the next slide? Hopefully. Okay, there you go. So this is kind of where I was talking about a little bit more of the details with professional services increasing, and the bulk of that has to do with that Calpine contract I mentioned earlier. Our personnel costs also have increased, or supposed to increase. And that's based on getting to staffing up to 80, which we think is in pretty close alignment with our colleague CCAs. It's actually a little bit lower. I think we're proposing to try to manage our costs and thoughtfully scale the agency. The other one I'll touch on is general and administrative costs. So again, those have increased, but a lot of that increase has to do with just us staffing up, and then needing desks, computers, and all that kind of stuff. Next slide. So just kind of a more detailed look at staffing. I kind of mentioned this earlier, but if we were to get approved to hire 24 more folks, that would bring the agency staffing plan up to 80. And if you just look by comparison to the other CCAs, that is about the average what we see from CCAs that are comparable size to SDCP. Of note, Clean Power Alliance is about the same size in terms of number of customers, and they have a little bit more load than us. And so that puts us on par with Clean Power Alliance. We would still be smaller than some of our other colleagues. Actually, one other colleague, in particular, Marine Clean Energy. One other thing I'll note here is you'll notice that there are two key areas that we're hiring for. Power services would hire 6 staff. And again, that's our biggest cost center. And I think for the agency, just given that's our biggest cost center, we are looking to fill out some spots there and make some redundancy as much as possible. And then data analytics, IT, and custom operations also proposing to add some staff, put them in alignment with what our other CCAs are seeing. Next slide. And to kind of close this out here, we also did want to do a deep dive comparison with some of our other CCA colleagues. You'll see Clean Power Alliance at the top, which again, I mentioned is kind of our closest, not competitor, but closest colleague in terms of number of customers. We are seeing, so for SDCP compared to other CCAs, our non-energy costs are, I think, not significantly lower, but we are lower than our other CCA counterparts. Again, it's a focus kind of targeting just to make sure that we control costs. One of the things that we are seeing this year compared to prior years, this is a slide that we showed last fiscal year. And I think us and other CCAs are seeing our margins just decline a little bit more than we have in the past. And a lot of that has to do with kind of the energy environment that we're seeing. That's what you'll see with that column on the right. Next slide. Okay, with that said, that was a really fast presentation on my part. Chair LaCava, I will turn it back over to you as the receiving file.
All right, well, thank you very much for filling in for Dr. Washington. Is there any public comment on this item?
There is not.
All right. So this again is a information item, but I'll turn it over to our fellow board members for any questions or comments. Mayor McCann.
Kim, I just really want to appreciate and tell you that I think the finance department has done a great job. I think, again, the key of building reserves is so important for our long-term sustainability, and you guys have done a great job where I've seen other essentially startups as well other CCAs not do as good of a job. So thank you very much.
Not seeing any other comments. I want to thank Dr. Washington, you, Tim, and the entire finance team. There's a lot of numbers you're juggling and trying to do a little bit of prediction of what the FY25 and the continuing changing landscape in terms of energy procurement. So thank you very much for the managing. You mentioned it, and I think I missed it, the regional energy network. Those funds get passed through us, and where do they fit into the budget?
Yeah, thanks for that question, Chair LaCava. So the rent is in the budget. It's not in the operating budget, it's in the CIP. And so when we actually bring the actual physical budget book to you guys, you'll see the revenue that's coming through from the REN, which comes from the CPUC, the California Public Utilities Commission. And so for SDCP, it will be cost neutral, since it's all cost recoverable positions. And so that'll be funding that you'll get in an operating budget, it nets out to zero. But on the CAP side, you'll see the revenue coming in from the CPUC and then the corresponding salary that supports it.
Okay, that's great. And then the budget will come back to the board in June for adoption.
Yeah, so it'll come to the FRC, then to the board.
Okay. Yes. Councilmember Hensy.
Thank you. I'm having a pregnancy brain and I can't remember our sister's agency, the other North County agency. What are they, their name again?
Yeah, through the chair, it's a Clean Energy Alliance.
Clean Energy Alliance, okay. And they weren't included in some of these comparisons that you brought up, right? Because they're so much smaller than us.
Yeah, so through the chair, they are significantly smaller than SDCP. And so, I mean, their numbers would just look so much smaller. It would look honestly kind of odd if you included it.
Yeah, every once in a while, I would like to see that comparison, just because I serve on other boards with some of their members and they're always asking me and I've never really put it next to each other. So maybe even if we just receive their inclusion on that chart that you presented, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
And since it was brought up, they are in the process of expanding as well. So, but they haven't done that yet. So their numbers wouldn't reflect that expansion of the customer base.
Yeah, so I understand that I thought their expansion was supposed to start in April.
Oh, okay.
So I think they're literally in the process of expanding right now.
Okay, great. Okay. Not seeing any other comments? Well, thank you again, Tim, for the presentation and the good work that the entire finance team works. Again, this is a receive and file. Unless there's no objection, we will just simply do that. And we'll move on to item 13, which is to approve the contract for professional services for marketing, communications, website redesign, and website maintenance with JSR Strategies, not to exceed amount of $500,000 over 2 years, with options for 2 one-year extensions, with not to exceed amounts of $200,000 for each subsequent year. We'll turn it over to Jill Monroe, Senior Manager, to make sense of that complicated title.
Thank you. Someone had to rival Power Services for a complicated title, so let it be the marketing person. Chair LaCava, members of the board, my name is Jill Monroe. I'm the Senior Manager for Marketing and Communications at SDCP. Joining me virtually tonight is Jen LeBron, our Director of Public Affairs, as well as Jess Rhodes, the founder and CEO of JSR Strategies. Since completing our customer enrollment, San Diego Community Power has ongoing needs to continue to engage, inform, and educate our customers about our services and about our products. While we do have a small internal team of marketing and communications professionals on staff, really designing and developing and leading when it comes to strategy, development, and execution, there is need to supplement this work with an external third-party vendor to support our efforts to reach our nearly 1 million customers. This is particularly important this year as we shift out of that customer enrollment cycle and that more focused customer brand awareness to actually launching customer programs over the next 6 to 18 months. This presents us with really exciting opportunities, but also some challenges and new opportunities to meet our customers where they are. Next slide, please. To that end, on March 5th, SDCP staff launched a request for proposals for the very long line of marketing communications, website redesign, and website maintenance services. So if I can say that a few more times in the next 5 minutes, we're in good shape. This RFP was structured in such a way, and if Sandra, you could actually go back to the first slide, I apologize. This is where I need to stay. Thank you. As you can see, the RFP was structured in such a way to allow proposers to potentially promote and provide a scope for Group 1 services, Group 2 services, or both. The RFP was broken up to really reflect the 2 components of this RFP, the marketing and communication services that you can see on the screen around agency branding, redesign, refresh of our brands, as well as potential programmatic brand launches, as well as kind of our brand identity. We have been serving customers now just over 3 years. There are some natural elements that need that refresh, as well as marketing and advertising campaigns specific to general SDCP awareness, but also specific to those customer programs our teams have talked about over the last several months, including things like the solar battery storage program, as well as the upcoming REN. Additionally, we want to ensure that we have sufficient program management and tracking performance metrics. We also wanted to allow for any potential transition of services. Group 2 services you can see are really focused on the website, the redesign of itself, and also that content development and design structure to ensure our customer experience is positive and effective, and also to just manage that ongoing maintenance as well. Now we can go to the next slide. So with that in mind, staff launched this RFP on March 5th. We wanted to ensure that we had really robust participation from industry. So with that in mind, we held a pre-proposal workshop on March 14th to specifically invite proposers to address questions, but also to give staff a chance to walk through this RFP. Because of its structure in 2 groups, we wanted to ensure that anyone who might have interest had an opportunity to understand it a little bit better and also have their questions received. SDCP, following that webinar, also responded to all questions in written form via our website. And given the number of questions received, we received over 80, and the general interest in this RFP, we extended the proposal deadline out from April 3rd to April 10th. Just to put it into context, SDCP received 27 submissions for Group 1 and Group 2 services combined. Chris Stevens can correct me if I'm wrong, but this may be a record in numbers of proposals received. So really a huge thanks to our team that helped him come along and get this process moving. After review and scoring evaluation, we invited 7 firms to participate in in-person interviews, also a first for our organization, the first in-person RFP interviews conducted through this process. We had 4 firms specific to either Group 1 or Group 2 services, and we had 3 firms invited to participate on both Group 1 and Group 2. To that end, following the interview portion and scoring and evaluation, JSR Strategies was identified. JSR has considerable experience in branding, web development, and campaign management for several CCAs in California. That includes Marin Clean Energy, as well as Pioneer Community Energy. So with that, please move to the next slide. And I'd love to introduce Jess Rhodes, the founder and CEO of JSR.
Thank you so much, Jill.
Jess, I'll turn it to you.
Thank you. And thank you to members of the SDCP board. Thank you, Chair. I'm Jess Rhodes, the CEO of JSR Strategies. We are a marketing and communications firm, and we specialize, like Jill said, in CCAs and energy efficient program adoption. We love working with CCAs because we're passionate about increasing energy equity, reducing greenhouse gases, providing cost-saving programs, and giving local choice and power to residents. We know that energy topics can be complicated. Understanding a CCA can be complicated, and it's our job to make these topics easy to understand. So we're excited to be on board. On the next slide, I'm excited to present a very flat organizational chart representing a dynamic team of creative strategists. Light blue folks are in San Diego, so we're excited to have you meet them in person, and you might know them already in the community. On the next slide, you'll see a few of the clients we serve. As Jill said, 2 of the CCAs on here are Pioneer Community Energy and MCE. We were hired for branding and website work and program outreach for each of them. So for a look at some of the work we've done, you can go to Pioneer's website now, and not during this meeting, but afterwards, and see what we've done. And MCE's new site will roll out mid-June. So we're excited to have you see that and learn from every experience to provide the next level of attention and care to you. It's important for us to put your constituents and communities at the center of our plan. This allows us to get multiple messages out that reach them in languages they want, in multiple formats that they trust, so they can find what they need. We begin our work together by reviewing historical research, conducting new research via digital survey, reviewing the data, and maintaining open lines of communication. So even when we do build something, we get feedback from you and the community, and we're able to pivot elements as needed. We'd like to thank the team for the thorough and thoughtful RFP process, and we're honored to be your marketing communications partner. So thank you so much. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, board.
Thank you, Jess. Before I open it up to questions, I just want to take a moment and also thank the entire team at Civilian Inc. In 2020, SDCP, through a similar competitive bid, contracted with Civilian to provide marketing and communication services for our agency. And Civilian has worked really closely with our entire team over the past 4 years to develop our entire brand, to build us our website, and really take us through all 4 phases of customer enrollment. They have been a really critical partner for our agency as we have grown, and we're very grateful to them for their creative partnership and strategic counsel during this time. Lastly, I would just like to thank the team at SDCP that came around the marketing and communications firm to deliver this RFP today. That includes my colleagues in programs, IT, procurement, and finance, as well as the Office of the General Counsel. So with that, that concludes my comments, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Jill, for the presentation. Thank you, Jess, for joining us for this conversation. Do we have any public comment?
We do not.
All right, this actually is an action item, so we will need a motion, but I'll turn it over to my colleagues for any questions or comments. Mayor McCann.
If there are no other questions or comments, I think this was an excellent process. Thank you very much, and I will move to approve item 13. So moved.
I'll second.
And Mayor Geary. So I'm going to be supportive. Can you share with us a little bit about what the thinking is in terms of branding and outreach? Where do we think we're a little bit weak, and what do you hope to accomplish under this new contract?
Yeah, that's a great question. I wouldn't so much say that we're necessarily weak as we're at a really interesting transition point for the organization. So again, we were really a very much almost theoretical entity in 2020 when we initially launched a website, when we developed a brand, began enrolling customers in 2021. And so with that natural evolution comes a need to also think about what the next phase and iteration of our marketing and our brand will look like in the community. Now, rather than letting customers know, hey, you're here, you're with us, we also want them to understand what they can do to take action in their energy behaviors, how they can learn, and also what kind of customer programs are available to them. Our programs team has done a phenomenal job of really developing a program suite that is region-wide in its applicability. And also with the REN forthcoming, we have an opportunity to really design and implement and deliver energy programs across the region that our customers benefit from, customers of all stripes from all communities. And so to ensure that we have a partner like JSR who has this programmatic behavior change experience to partner with us, I think is really probably the most significant element of where I see change. So again, I wouldn't necessarily say totally weak as much as I would say we're in a really exciting time of transition.
I appreciate that. I will note that we had Colin come out to the Environment Committee, which I chaired this afternoon. And that was one of the questions about the REM. People were excited, but how are you going to get the word out to those folks that actually can take advantage that don't typically key in to programs that become available through the government? So that's really going to be a key to all the good work Colin has done, how we actually connect up with the people that can really take advantage of it. So very excited about this. We do have a motion by Mayor McCann, second by Mayor Geary. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you very much and look forward to your work. And with that, we will go on to item 14, which is approve energy storage service agreement with, I don't know, USAMOD Project 1 LLC. And perhaps Byron will tell us how to correctly pronounce.
Jill issued the challenge, and here we are with a complex name again, doing our best for you all. Yeah, this is the USMOD Project 1 LLC. It's Latin, I'm told. It translates to performance. But again, we didn't name it. We selected it. So here to review this project with you all. I apologize when you guys hear from me and everyone instead of my staff. Andrea Torres, this is her item. She's ill and can't be here this evening, so I'm trying on her behalf, but want to make sure the credit is due. She's done a whole lot of work negotiating a number of deals for us. So again, feel bad sitting in the spotlight, also subjecting you all to my voice and poor jokes. But here we are. So USMOD, and again, I'll own this one as well. The title on the first slide and the recommendation is correct. On this slide, USMOD is misspelled. So apologies for that. I haven't been diagnosed with dyslexia yet, but that may be coming. So anyways, that's on this slide in the next few slides, but I'll note that the I doesn't come before the S and everything's drafted correctly in the recommendation. So what we have here is a 200 megawatt battery storage facility in Kern County. So 800 megawatt hours developed by IPA. You can see the maps there. Again, this is in Kern County, so not quite as local as we want it to be, but still in Southern California, as close to our service area, but also our labor area as possible. Next slide, please. This is I think I keep saying it, but this is the final project we'll bring you all out of a whole batch of contracting we've done over the last few months. We had 3 RFOs last year, and then another deliverability contingent RFI that we ran right around the end of the year in January. And so this is the final out of those for resources that will be coming online in 25 through 28. This resource is a full and RA agreement for a battery storage facility, typical 15-year term, very standard to the terms and conditions we usually see. This resource will be online by June of 2028. Additionality, part of that is that it was passed as well. Deliverability and interconnection studies are key right now in the CAISO process. We've kind of turned the process on its head. It used to be that you would have an interconnection study and you have deliverability, which is again kind of the CAISO study that determines that you can deliver energy to the grid during periods of stress need. We used to have that before you would get a contract. Now, because there are some resources in the queue with the CAISO, they're kind of advantaging those resources that have a contract before they get deliverability. So now some contracts are deliverability contingent. So we should have more information actually in the next couple of weeks about the 2024 deliverability process. This contract allows USMOD to pursue deliverability in the 2024 process if they're unsuccessful, to pursue it again in 2025. So we'll know more. Again, we developers and the modeling, they feel good about their chances. And it's kind of a black box process, unfortunately. And again, we like the project and then our hopeful they're successful through the process. So as usual here with our battery storage facilities, this meets reliability and capacity targets. Also, both on the regulatory side for new resources, but also just for RA that we need to have online through the lights on. Pricing is competitive and delivered here in confidential. Sorry, we reviewed it again with the energy contract working group, but they're competitive pricing. And IPA is a reputable developer who has a lot of resources under contract and also for the development. Next slide, please. Final notes here on workforce development, community benefits. 180 construction jobs, 12 permanent jobs for this facility will be built under PLA. And then because they're out of the San Diego area, they've committed $100,000 to our community benefits fund as well. So I think that's the end of this presentation. I'm happy to take any questions if you have.
All right, thank you, Byron. Any public comment on this one?
There are no public comments.
All right, turn it over to the board. This is an action item, so any questions or comments, but we will need a motion. Mayor McKenna.
I will make the motion to approve the energy storage service agreement. So moved.
Second.
And Councilmember Parent, seconds. Thank you for continuing to chase those. I know we have a continuing challenge with CAISO, and so that time frame, so they wouldn't break ground until they had the commitment for CAISO would be their decision. So, but we do have provisions for penalties, and they don't. All right. So we have a motion by Mayor McCann, a second by Councilmember Parent to move the staff recommendation. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that passes unanimously as well. So with that, we'll move on to item 15, approve financially settled toll and energy storage agreement with MRP Pacifica Marketing LLC for a hybridization of border facility. And we'll turn it over to Asikai, if I got that right. CK, excuse me, that's what this says there, to present this item. So when you're ready.
I'll just introduce it quickly and then get out of the way, because this is a fun one that I want to make sure CK gets credit for this. This is a new, this is something we haven't seen before. We've done a lot of renewables, we've done a lot of standalone storage. This is hybridization of an existing gas facility to reduce gas emissions from a gas peaker plant. That's what we'll be adding a battery to it. Anyway, so a lot of benefits ultimately over to go to SDCP, done a lot of work on this. Drainage board is also not really has been involved. I also want to make sure both of them get a lot of credit.
Chair LaCava, members of the board, I mentioned, looking for approval for this 51+ megawatt hybrid resource for RA and financially subtotal. As with all of our long-term RA agreements, we're looking for cost and capacity certainty. These are the long-term agreements that help fund the projects that we want to see built. And developers use these long-term agreements to finance the projects. And with all of our long-term agreements, this has come through a competitive solicitation for RA. Next slide. This is basically the project summary. We're looking at a 52 megawatt 1 hour battery. That's what's going to be built. It's going to be on the site of a existing peaker plant located, as you see there, in Otay Mesa, and it's within the Cal ISO footprint. Next slide, please. So what is being offered? Local RA, financial toll term is 15 years. The RA for this agreement will start New Year's Day, 2026. The best COD and financial toll will start June 1st. And with all our agreements, there are the normal milestones and protections that are incorporated into this agreement. Next slide. So why is this attractive for us? First, on the compliance front, it offers us 3 types of RA that we're also looking for. It offers us local RA, San Diego River Valley. It's a 24/7 resource, and also it has flex attributes. Flex attributes, you can just think of them as the ability to stop on a dime and start at a drop of a hat. That's just what flex is. This has gone through a very vigorous valuation and modeling, so we're very confident in the value that's going to bring to the organization. The developer is experienced, having 6 gigawatts under management, including just under a half a gigawatt with other CCAs for similar hybrid resources. And lastly, and perhaps most importantly, these resources are online 3 to 5% of the time. Adding this battery resource should decrease the runtime of the legacy plant by half or more right out of the gate. And the hope is that that will decrease their use annually over time. What does decreased runtime mean? It also means decreased emission for the local communities. So that's SOx, NOx, GHG. So that's a very important piece of this agreement. We have up. One of the things that we stressed to this developer was our feelings on the use of union labor. So this developer has committed to enter into a PLA via its EPC contractor. The expectation, it's a smaller resource, so the expectation is 20 construction jobs and then 1 FTE afterward. As I stated before, when we usually have these best resources, it affects the region. These best resources, or this one and the one that's coming up, affect the on-site peaker plant. So that would be, it'll be a much more surgical curbing of emissions for our communities. And lastly, the developer has committed $125,000 to SDCP's community benefit fund. And I believe that's the last slide. So if there are any questions, I'd love to entertain them now.
All right, thank you, SK. Are there any public comment on this one?
We have one hand raised.
Oh, okay.
Christina, you should be able to unmute yourself and you'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening, all. How's everyone? Christina Marquez calling in support of this project, the Middle River Project. I represent IBEW Local 569 and its 3,600 members, electricians, and power professionals. And yes, we will be on this project, proudly building it safely, using the skilled and trained. We're trained on this. We've had the certifications. Our apprentices even go through, and our journeymen go through a training program that is not required. I'd like you guys to be aware of it. Hopefully it's something that is required in the future. So it's called ESAMTAC, ESAMTAC, Energy Storage and Microgrid Training. So unlike some others that have, there's been issues, those were not built like us, by us. They were not built, you know, with the people that have been training on this for years, or that had the certifications like ours. So we're proud to say that, you know, we confidently can say that this will be built safely, and happy to hear that a gas plant will be used less, which is great to reduce those greenhouse gas emissions. That's something that IBEW Local 569 really strives for. I know many of you on the board do as well. So thank you for listening to this. And Byron and his team, I really appreciate you being able to get this in place. You know, this will put some local community members to work. So please approve this. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Christina. Before I turn it over to the board members, we don't often see this, the financially settled total. What is that?
So you can think of the agreement before this was a toll. So that is where one receives the energy and then either uses it for its load or sells it into the Cal ISO market. The financially settled total is instead we direct the operation of the resource, and then we receive the financial results of those operations. So when the BESS is on and it's charging in the solar hours and discharging in the over the evening peak, the difference in the two times of day, we get the financial benefits, but we don't get the energy directly and then sell it. It's the developer or the owner operator that will do that directly and interact with the Cal ISO market. So it's more of a financial, we might say arm's length relationship with the resource.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, turn it over to the board for questions and comments. This is a new contract or agreement, so we'll need a motion.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much. This is more of a complex, a unique agreement. I like that it is employing local jobs, and I will go ahead and make the motion to approve item 15. So moved.
Again.
And we have second by Councilmember Parent. Yes, Councilmember Yamani.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our staff has been talking about community benefit fund. You know, I mean, will there be a report on what's the fund there already that we have accumulated and where did it go? Because with all the projects that we have done, they always say there's a portion of that goes towards the community benefit fund. Will we get something just to show that, hey, we are giving back to our community?
Jack, can you update us?
Sure. Thank you for the question. So as mentioned, each of these projects is, or most of these projects were receiving community benefit funds. We're still behind the scenes designing that program. And so we plan to bring that to you later this fall.
And on the timing as well, these contracts are committing to make this contribution between now and when the resource is online. So we have a couple of years. So that's folks although I'm here to.
You got savings.
There you go. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Not seeing any other questions or comments. We do have a motion by Mayor McCann to move the staff recommendation and a second by Councilmember Parent. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that passes unanimously. Now we'll go to item 16, which looks strangely similar. Approve a financially settled toll and energy storage agreement with MRP Pacifica Marketing 2 LLC for hybridization of enterprise facility. I'll turn it back over to you.
Can I say ditto?
No, so what I'll try to do here is just quickly reiterate the similarities and then just highlight some of the differences. So this is a very similar slide again. Decreasing costs, locking in capacity and ensuring compliance. This came through the same competitive solicitation as the previous one. And of course, these agreements finance the projects that we want to see built here in San Diego. Next slide. Similar sized battery, the peaker plant is a bit smaller, located in Escondido, as opposed to Otay Mesa, and also within the Cal so slide. Green deal, local RA, 50-year term, financial toll. RA starts New Year's Day 2026. The financial toll piece of it, the SCOD is December 1, 2026, as opposed to June. And we have the same protections as we do all of our contracts and milestones, et cetera. Next slide. I think I've gone over the 3 types of important RA and just the questions there. This also went through the same rigorous analysis. I've highlighted the experience as a developer and the relationship with other CCAs in the space. The only difference here is that although, normally these operate 35%, this particular plant was on about 1.5% of the time in 2023. So we might not see the same initial impact, but we do expect the runtime to decrease over time and hopefully dissipate to zero. Slide. Again, developers said they're going to enter into a PLA and use union labor. 20 jobs during construction, 1 FTE afterward. Same idea around the surgical displacement of gas generation during the peak for the communities around that. Same idea of decrease in emissions, NOx, and other GHGs. And also 125,000 has been committed to the Community Benefit Fund for this project. So with this too, the developers committing $250,000 to the Community Benefit Fund. And with that, I'll.
And do we have any public comment on this?
We have one hand raised, Christina Marquez. You should be able to unmute yourself and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening. So I'd like to say ditto as same for item 15, please. Again, representing IBEW Local 569, electricians will be on this job doing this work, the skilled and trained, the ones that have been training on this for years, and happy to hear that it'll be, local. So we'll have local hire and, give journeymen and apprentices the opportunity to build clean energy products near their homes. So please vote to support this. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you again, Christina. Before I turn it over to the board, I was kind of remiss in the last one, although this one is a slightly different setting. Given the news about the battery fires down in Otay Mesa, what kind of protections or what is going to be done differently here to guard against them?
The developer has sent us their action plan. Basically, they've showed us plans to make the individual battery modules further apart, and they showed us, and I can send those afterward, the general plan around which they're going to be safer. So,
Yeah, a couple of the notes that stand out, something mentions broader spacing. Also, they're no longer building these batteries in kind of large like warehouses, right? They're building in containers instead, so much fewer issues in the event of fire, but they are spaced farther. There's also, in addition, state-of-the-art fire suppression technology, but also a key point is also new and improved battery technology as well. So much over.
Okay, and I have to admit, I heard something in the news about a community that was fighting a battery storage. That's not this one, though.
Not aware of any opposition to these.
Yeah, I didn't think it was this location, but I wanted to make sure. So, yeah, critical question, since we're really going to be relying on battery storage as part of our energy future. So with that, this does require an action. So I'll turn it over to the board for any comments, questions, or motion. Mayor McCann?
Again, really appreciate your efforts on this. Really enjoy that we're creating more local jobs. With that, I will so move. Ditto.
I'll second.
Okay, and second by Councilmember Parent. Yeah, I'll join in, and especially the impact of converting those peaker plants to something a little more renewable. So, all right, so we have a motion by Mayor McCann to move the staff recommendation with a second by Councilmember Parent. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? And that passes unanimously. So that ends our regular agenda, and we'll go to reports. We'll start out with our CEO, Karen Burns.
Good evening, board members.
Good evening, team SDCP and members of the public. Realize I may be the last thing standing between you and dinner, so I will move quickly. So last week, SDCP attended the California Efficiency and Demand Management Council's Spring Symposium, where I gave opening remarks and joined CEOs Joe Mosca of Orange County Power Authority and Greg Wade of Clean Energy Alliance for a conversation about how CCAs are shaping California's clean energy future while also meeting the needs of our communities. A big shout out to Lee Friedman from SDCP who moderated that panel. SDCP also attended this month's Sustainable Hood Education and Career Expo, where students can connect with and learn from local organizations committed to sustainability. Team members Dr. Eric Washington, Lucas Uto, Chandra Pugh, and Taco Gaite Kumba participated in a panel moderated by Jen LeBron about how we can each leverage our unique backgrounds and experiences to participate in the clean economy. Next slide, please. All right, our outreach team has been busy this month. Earlier this month, we enjoyed the last of many Earth Day celebrations at the San Pasquale Earth Day, where we were able to share how SDCP is working towards a sustainable future in our region. Last weekend, we were at Cyclovia Encinitas, where members of the local community could explore downtown Encinitas through self-powered transportation, like biking, walking, and skating. And then this month, we held our first in-person Understanding Your Bill workshop at the Logan Heights Library. SDCP staff walked attendees through an average residential energy bill, complex as we know, provided tips on how to save energy and reviewed available payment assistance programs like Karen Barra. So a big thank you to our public affairs and our accounts team for their hard work on this initiative. And a huge thanks to our public affairs team. They have been extremely busy in the first half of this year alone. They participated in over 80 local and regional events. Thank you to that team. All right, and before I conclude, I want to provide an update on our hiring process. It's been a busy month as we continue to build out our dream team. We're currently hiring a data engineer and a data scientist. We're interviewing for an energy settlements analyst, a strategic policy manager, a project operations and grant proposal manager, and a marketing manager. We're also in the final stages of hiring a community engagement associate whose focus will be on building and deepening our connections with CBOs and NGOs throughout all of our member agencies. And lastly, on June 10th, we will be welcoming our first ever intern to the SDCP finance team, Michelle Soto.
Nice.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Karen. Before we wrap up, any comments? I'm gonna skip. I think Shabira has asked us to skip that. Any comments? You'll let us know when you have something.
I'll let you know.
Okay. Opportunity for board members, anything you want to share? Mary Geary.
Very quickly, I just want to commend Janet Brown and her team. They did a fantastic job during a panel at the Family Health Centers of San Diego Spirit of the Barrio Luncheon, which I attended last Friday. It was very well attended. Secondly, I'd like to request to have one of those explainers of your bill workshops in Imperial Beach.
Noted.
Thank you.
Great. Not seeing any that. Oh,
Just so there,
yeah.
one other question.
Yeah.
I'm also interested in that bill explainer workshop. Are those ones that we do online? That we could just offer as a webinar?
We do have one recording online that we did our first workshop as an online. So it is available online, but we would also welcome the opportunity in the district as well. So I'll coordinate with our team and we can follow up.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you for offering that. So with that, that brings us to the end of our agenda. I appreciate everyone's participation today. We are adjourned until a special meeting of the Board of Directors next Thursday, May 30th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. And the next regular meeting of the Board of Directors of San Diego Community Power will be on Thursday, June 27th, 2024 at the regular 5 p.m. time. We are adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you.